sure.
Before the press conferences even start. I mean, we could talk for 45 minutes just about how atrocious the defense is.
He's just picking the big guys. Jordan Mailata, he's huge. He'll be good later on. Josh Sweat, he's tall as hell and strong. Let's get him. We'll figure him out. It's working.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM on DSM Media, the only and first morning show podcast out of all the Philly podcast networks there are in the region. We appreciate you tuning in as always. We got a jam-packed show as always. That is Jeremy, my co-host. I am Phil. You know, we're live on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Make sure you click like, share, retweet, thumbs up on YouTube. And if you want your voice heard, because we got a jam-packed show of topics today that love to get everybody's opinions in, make sure you head over to YouTube where your comments will show up on my screen here. I can put them up on the board and we can interact and get your opinion heard and discuss it with everybody else. We are brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming and men's below-the-waist products. Make sure you check them out at manscaped.com. Use promo code TRENDING, the name of the show, TRENDING, at checkout to get you 20% off and free shipping. It also lets them know that we sent you from Trending in the AM. Again, the only morning show podcast there is out there. We set the trends here at DSM Media. Everybody else just plays catch-up. Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy to be here. It's going to be a very good morning. Of course, just like you said, very jam-packed show. A lot to go over today. So I'm very excited to get started.
Yeah. So we got lots to talk about today. So, you know, I want to spend some time talking about the Phillies and Major League Baseball free agency to start the show. There's a lot of talk about the Phillies and the lack of their moves so far. And again, yesterday, you know, Javier Baez signed with the Tigers. You know, Raciel Iglesias re-signed, you know, with the Angels. You know, Paxton signed. Wendell got traded, you know, from the Rays to the Marlins. So more big moves are happening, and yet again, the Phillies are, you know,
on the outskirts,
not doing anything yet.
Yeah,
and I want to know your opinion first off on why they're not doing anything.
You know, a lot of the guys that have been getting signed are not guys that really we expected the Phillies to go for. And that's something that I kind of noticed. Now it's frustrating that the guys that have been signed and the ones that we're linked to, they haven't signed to anyone. And those are guys that we've been linked to for a while. There is, you know, a few out there like Marcus Semien was in talks a little bit and like he got signed, and there's a couple guys out there, but the guys we were really looking for, we were looking for the Kyle Schwarber. He's still not signed. Nick Castellanos not signed. All these other guys, Chris Bryant, no, he hasn't signed anywhere. So I think that's kind of how it's going. It's just really bad timing. You know, everyone else is finding their team and we weren't going for most of those guys. So now the guys that we're really going for, I don't know if it's Middleton doesn't want to win.
This is, I mean, it's an interesting thought. Does he not want to win? I don't think he doesn't want to win, but I think how do I say it? He's being, you know, fiscally responsible with his money till he knows he can win.
Exactly. And that's obviously that's something that we can't blame. I mean, it's his money and everything like that. So he doesn't want to overuse the money if he thinks it's not going to be put to good use. I understand it. I understand why he didn't go over the luxury tax the past 10 years. We've been a bad ball club. Why would we go over the luxury tax for no reason? Because we wouldn't do anything anyway. Now's the point where maybe he can. It depends. And if he wants to go for Chris Bryant, he's going to have to make other signings too, and he probably will go over the luxury tax at some point. So I would not be surprised if he does do it this year. But again, I don't know. Middleton still hasn't done it. So who really knows? We always think that it's because he wants to spend it at the right time. Was last year maybe the right time to really go for it? I don't know. That again, that was more of his opinion. So
I also think it has to come down to a little bit the fact that let's be honest, some of these deals that are getting signed to like the last week or so, there's some big dollars being sent and spent to players that I don't know if they're necessarily worth the money. I mean, you look at Corey Seager. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? 10 years, $325 million.
That's a lot.
Even Javier Baez. I mean, I like Javier Baez. He's a good player, but is he worth what did he get? 170 million yet? 140 million over 6 years with opt-out clauses. I mean, these guys are signing massive deals, that they might be slightly being overpaid.
Yeah, it's very risky. And 2 years ago, Javi Baez would have made as much money as Corey Seager, but he had 2 down years, so he had to drop it. And he's been struggling really bad. That is a huge risk. You're paying Javier Baez a lot of money, and if he puts up the numbers he did the past 2 years, that's really bad because it's going to be a waste of money. And now you just wasted money over in Detroit when you're trying to rebuild them anyway. But then the thing about Detroit, they were a huge one going to get They were huge one going to get Carlos Correa. And now, since they signed Javier Baez, they're not going to be able to get both. And Correa's deal, I can't even imagine what that's going to hit. Yeah,
I'm guessing another one of your family members here, Freddie Freeman wants 180 million over 6 years. How old is Freddie Freeman? I feel like Freddie Freeman's been in baseball for 25 years.
So he's 32 years old, and
I can't believe he's only. I knew he was like in that early 30s, but that's insane to think that he's only. I literally feel like he's been playing since Greg Maddux was on the Braves.
He was actually offered that contract from the Braves, and he said no. And he's now saying that this is what he wants. It's very weird. I don't know why he wouldn't want to go back to Atlanta. It seems like, it seemed like they fit really along. He always talks about how he loves Atlanta. And he actually declined that offer, and he's looking to go somewhere else, but for the same amount.
Wow. I didn't know that portion of it. That's kind of crazy.
It's very weird. But the thing is that he always says he wants to go, he'd go back to Atlanta. But I don't know. It's very
Maybe he expects a little bit more out of Atlanta,
right?
Because he's been there for so long.
That's what I'm thinking. So I think Freddie Freeman deserves it. That guy is so good.
If we're going to go over the luxury tax, he'd be someone he'd go after. I mean, I never even considered Freddie Freeman an option because I just assumed he would stay in Atlanta. I knew he was going to get a big deal, but he just strikes me as somebody that was going to stay there for a while. Freeman at first, Bryson left or right field. I mean, that would be a good 1-2 punch. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they then go out and get Kyle Schwarber or Chris Bryant. Now all of a sudden you got a super dominant offensive, force right there, and your defense has been massively upgraded.
Yeah.
So I want to bring up a tweet real quick. So Mr. ESPN Baseball Buster Olney put out a tweet this morning. Actually, it was early this morning. Some big money teams haven't been aggressive yet. The Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Giants, the Yankees, etc., for various reasons. And he continues on. Some execs think its current prices are insane, which we just discussed. There is some insane numbers being thrown out. Point 2 he makes is they want to know what the CBA is going to be before committing that big money. And 3, they think they can clean up in a buyer's post market after everything gets settled with the collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say also, and don't forget, there's still over 300 unsigned free agents out there. And yes, I know the top tier, the middle tier, and there's tiers to these free agents. But he didn't mention the Phillies as the big money teams, but he did put et cetera. So I'd assume that we're part of that et cetera part, teams that could spend big money.
Yeah.
Do you think there's some justification to that some of these big teams are waiting because of the unknown of what's coming up? And I brought up what the main sticking points are here to talk about in a few minutes, but do you think there's any relevance to that comment?
100%. Look, these teams, these big market teams that like to spend money, they like to spend money, but they spend it wisely. They know what they're doing. They're not going to, the Dodgers had Corey Seager for 6 years, and they're not paying him 10 years, $325 million. And they're one of the best teams in baseball that can easily afford it. Okay. Now
they're normally the number one payroll.
Exactly.
Baseball.
So, and they know then Corey Seager, he's a good player. He's not someone that's worth $32.5 million a year. Mm-hmm. You're crazy. You're out of your mind that Corey Seager should be making that money. And the Dodgers know that. And these bad teams like the Texas Rangers and the Detroit Tigers are going to be out here willing to spend the money because their team isn't that good. The Dodgers have so much to lay back on. The Yankees have so much to lay back on. The Red Sox, all of these high payroll teams. The Mets have to sign everyone just to try and make playoffs. So I think that's really why they don't really want to waste their money. I can't involve the Phillies in that statement. I can't say they are very smart with their money or they're just a really good team, so they have so much to fall back on. I definitely can't say that. But the other teams like the Yankees, Red Sox, if they really wanted to, they could have stole all these guys from everyone in a heartbeat. Absolutely. But they're smarter. They're smarter, and they know that they don't have to. They don't have to, and the bad teams do.
With the amount of money that's being given out, Bryce Harper has fallen to, is it the 17th or the 18th ranked contract in annual average salary? I mean, that's insane to think that the reigning MVP is now the 17th or 18th highest paid player because of these big money deals. And I want to continue. I'm going to count and say I think the Phillies are fairly smart with their money. They know what they want to do. They're just not going to overpay to do it. And yes, say they wanted Corey Seager. Just say they did. They set a cap. This is how much we'll spend for Corey Seager. That's it. He went way over that price. They're like, all right, no big deal. Whatever. So I kind of feel like there's Dombrowski and Middleton. They have a plan. They obviously, every baseball team, whether you're the Phillies, the Yankees, or the Marlins, they have a plan. But at least the Phillies, they're sticking to their plan. And it might turn out that it doesn't work out. And it may turn out that they make no major moves. And we're still a 500 team next year, or borderline right in that range. That may be the way it works out. But as a businessman, you've got to stick to your guns on what you're spending, where and how, and those kind of things. So I understand that. And I really like this whole, they can clean up in the buyer's post-CBA market part. Because if you think about it, there's a chance that this could drag on really close to spring training. And in the CBA, if a lockout happens tonight at midnight, like it's expected to, they are meeting again today, the players union and
I was seeing tweets all day yesterday.
Yeah, it's good. They're going to meet again all day today to try to hash it all out today. 99% likelihood it's not figured out today. They're too far apart on too many major sticking points.
Yeah.
And I did read they can actually say no lockout and just keep working under the old agreement until they figure it out. But most likely there will be a lockout. And during that lockout, zero communication can happen between players and owners, GMs and agents. They can't even mention players' names, during the lockout. So, if this drags on for a long period of time, you've got 300 free agents that are without a job. It's going to be a signing spree and frenzy. And there's going to be a lot of teams and players that are just scooping up these guys. And they're just going to take the first offer. Like the Phillies could just go in there and, so much can happen.
Yeah.
It's going to be like the unofficial start of free agency in football where we hear about these deals, but they're not signed. They're going to happen like that.
Like that, yeah.
So I actually think it's a smart move right now. Sit back, let the smaller teams overspend on players, and then the last few players, and then the players on the trade market, we've got the pickings of them. We're only competing with a few teams for these guys versus a lot of teams. So I think because of the collective bargaining agreement, I've been thinking this for a while, was going to slow down some teams' decision-making this offseason. And that's what I think the Phillies are doing. They want to see what the luxury tax is a big sticking point in the collective bargaining agreement. It's about 210, 211 right now. And the players are hoping for it to get pushed up to $240 million. That's $30 million difference right there. That's a lot of money could be spent.
That's a Bryce Harper.
That's Bryce Harper. Exactly. To keep it under the luxury tax. And then if they make enough moves to get to 240 and they think they're a contender, then they can go over and spend into that luxury tax because they're contending, whatever. So I think it's a smart move at this point. And I think Buster's Olney's tweet this morning, hit the nail on the head, not just with the Phillies, but with the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Dodgers. I think it's a super smart tweet.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm probably more on board with you. I hope that's more what it is, and I really do think it is. For the first time that I've been able to watch baseball, I'm 19, but we have Dave Dombrowski. I have faith in a GM. What we've seen Dave Dombrowski do in his career, he's only done great things. So now I actually had faith, and I still do. And we haven't seen much yet, but I still have faith that Dombrowski's going to do something. And I know it's going to happen, and just like how your thought process was right there, you're probably right. He could just be waiting off on it. He doesn't want to overspend. He probably knows how he does know how Middleton is. He doesn't really want to go over the luxury tax. He doesn't want to spend big. We're probably going to be more lucky that Chris Bryant, if he doesn't sign a deal before the lockout, because Chris Bryant could probably get overpaid so easily. He's one of those guys. But if we're able to wait till after the lockout to get him, that could be.
I know there's some rumors of the Rockies and all these other teams that are looking at Chris Bryant. If Chris Bryant doesn't sign today, before the lockout happens tonight, then I would put the Phillies at the forefront of getting him post-lockout, because the Phillies are going to swoop in, get it done right away. And there is something else I read. They can't talk and stuff like that, but GMs can talk. So trades, while not being able to be announced, owners and GMs can still, quote unquote, secretly negotiate trades.
Right.
So the Phillies, maybe they make a trade, and you hear it announced the second that the lockout ends. That's we got somebody here saying a report saying that Freddie Freeman is interested in going to Canada and the Rays and the Jays. I mean, it's another hitter's park. I don't know who would want to go to Toronto to play baseball, but
a lot of people for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. So I love Toronto. I love Canada. I've been all over Canada, but the cold, man. The first few months up there, I wouldn't want to do that or September baseball up there, even though they're playing in a dome. Look, you bring up Dombrowski and you have confidence in him, I do to an extent. It kind of just popped into my head. I'm sitting here thinking. I mean, I'm 40. I'll be 41 in 2 weeks. The amount of mediocre GMs we've had in this city for the Phillies. I mean, we've Dombrowski now. He's got a track record, but before that we had Clentak, Ruben Amaro Jr. Yes. Why can't I think of the Phillies GM for the World Series year? The legend. Why can't I think of his name?
I don't know.
Anyway, you guys know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But going back before that, John, we've had so many bad GMs for the Phillies for so long that I don't even know what to expect out of even a half decent GM.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't have as much faith in him as you do, but I have faith that he's got a strong plan. So will the plan work? We don't know, but he's got a plan in place. So, that's where I'm at with it.
Well, the reason why is because how we've seen Dombrowski, he rebuilt Detroit in it was 2008 area. He made a lower market team, a good team, and then he went over to Boston, a big market team, and made the Boston Red Sox a World Series champ. When he's done well in both situations, and now he's in Philly, and he's more. He's closer to the Red Sox, but he has more money to work with than he was with the Tigers.
Yeah.
How
did I forget Pat Gillick's name? I don't know what is wrong with me. It's too early. My coffee's empty. My orange juice is almost empty. I'm lost. But I do want to bring up Ed Wade. Ed Wade is definitely an underrated GM. Because he built the Phillies winning team. He wasn't here for when we won, but he built the farm system in the core that brought us. Yeah. He brought in the Hamels, the Utleys, the Howards, and the Rollins and stuff like that. And then he did the same thing with the Astros. So I think that's really, a really interesting point here. The Mets getting Max doesn't mean nothing. They're still the Mets. I've already said that 2 or 3 times there. Absolutely agree with you. I won't buy anything the Mets do till they do.
Yeah.
All right. So this collective bargaining agreement and the sticking points that they're arguing about right now. I don't know how much you've gotten to go into it. And look at what the main sticking points are, but it all comes down to money with them.
Yeah, exactly.
and free agency. So first off, with the luxury tax, do you think they should raise the luxury tax?
I mean,
they raise it every year, but it goes 210, 211. It's always a little at a time. The players are looking for it to be raised to $240 million plus, and the owners are obviously saying no. Do you think there's some middle ground there, or do you think that the owners are right or the players are right? What?
I don't really think it's anyone really being right. I would like it to be raised. I think it would make baseball more fun. And if that's all that they always try and go for is making baseball more fun. And when you can make these bigger signings, having more guys in the field, I think it'd make it more fun. And plus, it would make the Phillies be able to spend more without going over the luxury tax. And we know Middleton, doesn't really like doing that. So I would like to see it. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, because that's a lot to be going. If they're asking to go up to 240, that's a lot. But we'll see. I'm hopeful for it.
I worry if they raise the luxury tax too high, that it's not going to help the way people think it's going to help. It's not going to make
it's not going to make
teams spend more.
Yeah, it's not going to make Oakland spend up.
It's going to inflate the high end guys' prices.
Yeah,
the Bryce Harper instead of signing for $300 goes to $400. Instead of $30 million a year to $40 million. I don't think it helps the little people, and that's my fear with raising it. I'm for it being raised a little bit, but my fear is if they raise it at any or even too much, then it's just going to make the high end guys get paid more, and the low end guys are still going to get the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not going to change the low end guys. Teams like the Athletics and the Rays, they don't even go close to the luxury tax. They're not even near it. They're not spending any money. So it's not going to change anything for them. It's just going to be a point where these other teams like the Yankees can now spend even more. Yeah,
a salary floor. Yeah, I agree to an extent on that. Absolutely. So the other sticking point, or main sticking point, because there's others, they want to increase the playoffs. Players have agreed to go up to 12. The owners want 14 teams in the playoffs. I don't know how I feel about it. Whatever. I know more playoffs equals more revenue, equals more money to spend on everything else and all that kind of stuff. I understand that. And I get it. But that to me, that and like the DH. Would you want the DH, universal?
The DH, I would love a DH in the NL. Yeah. But I hate the
old school
playoffs.
Me says no because I hate change. But new school me, that I realize change happens for a reason. So you might as well. It also gives teams more flexibility when they're stuck with players like Rhys Hoskins who can't field or Exactly. I always look back at there's a guy. Do you remember Jermaine Dye?
He was I do remember
late 90s, early 2000s. He was a really good fielder, a really good hitter, but his fielding dropped off just dropped off. Yeah. And he couldn't get a job anywhere because there's only so many DH spots, but he could still hit. So, he would have had 15 more teams eligible to sign him if there was a DH universal. So, it's somebody like him, prolongs their career. Ryan Howard might have had a longer career, things like that. But the other main sticking point is the players and when they hit free agency and arbitration and service time. That is actually, I think, as big of a deal to players right now, if not more than the luxury tax. Right now it's after 30, they could become a free agent. When service time starts at 3 weeks, you can be held back 4 weeks, at the start of the season, to extend that service time and how the arbitration works.
There's ways around it, man. There's ways around it.
There's ways around it, but it is something that does bother me. I think the players, or the owners have too much control in the beginning of the career. And the thing is that these guys hit free agency for the first time when they're already at the peak of their career. Yeah. And then you got guys getting signed to 10-year deals at 29, 30 years old when halfway through that contract, they're already at the way down part of their career.
Yeah.
I think it would actually be beneficial for the owners to give into the players here because it'll make the players happy. Maybe they'll loosen on some other points, but then they're going to be spending their big money on players in the peak of their career, not at the end of their career. So I think it's something to consider.
Yeah, and see now, and that's one way that it could help the owners and everyone like that. But it also could. The thing is, the way it can hurt them is that now they won't be able to have cheap deals for like their best players. I mean, look at Ronald Acuna. Ronald Acuna signed a 10-year, $100 million contract. You're giving Ronald Acuna $10 million a year. Ozzie Albies signed it was like an 8-year, $40 million contract, and I'm like, dude, like you're paying them. I can't do math right now, but that's like $5 million a year. Like that, that's ridiculous. But you're able to sign these guys to low deals and then spend big on the guys that are already in their prime. If you don't have that anymore, now you have to spend money on the lower guys, and then you don't really have that much of a chance of getting the guys already in their prime. So there's kind of two ways to look at it.
See, but I'm going to counter that because you see what they're doing. The owners are trying to get these guys young to these deals cheaper because they're trying to lock them in until they're 30 and whatnot.
Yeah.
But a lot of these teams are taking chances on these players. So it worked out great for Acuna, and the Braves. But then we got Scott Kingery. We did the same thing. We jumped the gun, paid him, and he didn't work out. So, I think if you lower that, just a little bit, I'm not talking about letting them enter free agency at 26 years old,
right.
You know what I mean? Or doing away with arbitration or service time. I'm not saying that. But if you just tweak it a little bit, bring it a little closer, give the players a little bit more say, I think it balances out the difference between hitting and missing on those young guys.
Yeah.
Because these young guys, it's either make $1 million a year for the next, 5, 6, 7 years and then enter free agency and risk getting hurt, ending your career, whatever, not getting that big paycheck. Or what if you're 22, 23 years old and a team's like, yo, I'll give you $80 million right now for the next 8 years instead of you going through the arbitration process. Guaranteed $80 million up front. Yeah. No 22, 23-year-old is going to turn that down because you could bet on yourself to be better than that, but you can't bet against injuries. You don't know if you're going to be injured, if your career is going to end, if whatever's going to happen. A lot of these guys come from, poor areas, poor countries, their upbringing. When they have a check in front of them for $80 million willing to be signed, that they can take care of their family for generations. Yeah. They're not going to say no.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of forcing them to take those deals because they want that guaranteed money up front. So I don't know. I think there's definitely, I think that the owners could give a little bit, knock a year or two off, eliminate that 3 weeks in the beginning of the season, which is the dumbest rule in the world.
Yeah, it's annoying.
It's super stupid. One of probably the 3 or 4 dumbest rules in sports, in my opinion. Which actually, it's a good idea for a topic for a show someday. We're gonna have on a slow day. We're gonna talk dumbest rules in sports.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that. I'm gonna have to somehow remember that. I definitely think there's some wiggle room there, and I definitely think it solves a lot of problems there.
No, yeah. As long as they find a good way to balance it out, I'm totally for it. I definitely think that the players deserve more anyway. So I'd be more happy with it. The owners will be fine. That's kind of how I view it. They got a lot of money, so they'll be fine no matter what happens. So anything that can help the players more, I'm totally for.
Yeah, no, I agree. So how do you feel about them expanding the playoffs even more?
I hate it. I hate every single part of it. I think that is one of the most. It's so stupid. It's so bad. The way it lays out, I don't know what they're doing, but the whoever has the best record in the AL and the NL get the first. They get buys. Like we're in the NFL. They'll get a buy, and then the other teams actually. I think I saw that they pick their opponents.
Yeah,
did you see that? They pick their opponents. The number 2 seed
gets to pick their opponents for the first round of the playoffs.
I think it's so stupid. What do we do?
What I think that's going to do, that's going to cause whoever gets picked. Like, so say I'm the 2nd seed and I pick you to be my opponent in the first round of the playoffs. You are going to be so pissed that I picked you because I think you're the easier team.
Yeah.
You're going to be so much more motivated to whoop up on me. And maybe that creates some intrigue. Maybe it creates some short-term rivalries.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with picking your opponent. I
don't agree with the whole thing. I don't think more teams should be entering the playoffs. I love the way that the playoffs work in baseball because I just love the entire layout. The wild card's 1 game, and then you move on to divisional, which is the 5 game. I love the entire concept of playoff baseball. It is my favorite time for playoffs in any sport. I love playoff baseball because it's always nuts. So that and I hate that.
I won't lie. I was against the 5th the 5th playoff team. In each league. But I got used to it, and I think it worked out. I don't know.
Trying to go to 7. That's half
We're going to be playing baseball in December.
I know. That's what I said.
You might as well just have everybody go down to Clearwater, Florida, and play at Clearwater Beach for the playoffs because they're not going to be able to play games in the North. By World Series, it's going to be 14. We would still have baseball going on right now. I feel like.
Yeah, no, seriously, it would really feel that way. I hate the idea of the expanded playoffs. If there's one thing that the MLB has done right these past couple of years is that they've kept the playoffs. They've just kept it normal. Leave them alone because it's so good. Leave them totally alone. So I hate the idea of it. It's only being talked about right now. It isn't official that it's going to happen. I pray that it's not going to happen. But people that are voting on it, they're just going to want to see more teams in the playoffs, and they're going to make more money from it because it's going to be more playoff baseball. And I get it. The argument backs and be, well, don't you want more playoff baseball? Playoff baseball is great. No. I don't want to have these teams that are under 500 making the playoffs. Yes, that includes the Phillies. And I know this will give the Phillies more of a chance to make the playoffs. I don't care. I really do not care. It's going to be terrible. I wouldn't even want to make the playoffs and then right away have to face the Dodgers and just get I feel worse about it. I'd rather just miss the playoffs.
Yeah. So excuse me. So lockout most likely happens at midnight tonight. Do you think these points are far? The players and the owners are far enough apart on these points where, look, December, January, there's really nothing going on in baseball. They can go 2 months in negotiating, but then as you get into January and into mid-January, most camps report around February 1st, February 3rd for spring training and stuff. You don't want to shorten spring training at all.
No.
You don't. Baseball
no.
Owners and players know they can't afford missed even spring training games because of all the lost revenue because of COVID.
Yeah.
Do you think these points are far enough apart and non-negotiable enough where this could be a long, drawn-out thing? Or do you think it'll drag out for 4 to 6 weeks and it'll get solved and mid-January everything picks back up? How do you think the whole thing plays out?
Just like you said, I think everyone knows that it has to be figured out by mid-January. There's no reason. It has to, no matter what. And I think it will just because of that basis. I think both sides are going to be like, all right, we got to buckle down, figure this out, because I know neither one of us want what could potentially happen. Missing out on more money and everything like that, because that's what all of it is. Both sides, it's all about money, and no matter what, if you agree or not agree on a deal, and now if you're missing spring training, you're missing money anyway. So they will agree on it probably by mid-January. So hopefully they'll give some more time for free agents to be able to be signed and everything. Because it's going to be nuts. I mean, Bryce Harper signed to the Phillies February 28th, and he signed late February. And that was without any lockout or anything like that. He just waited a long time. That was frustrating, but and so
subject.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think it'll be figured out sooner. I would say like mid-January. It's really going to suck, not having a bunch of baseball news drop in the middle of December and January, but it's going to be whatever. I'm sure that's going to happen. It's not going to be something quick either, though. Like it isn't going to be figured out before the end of 2021.
Because there's no pressure right now.
Exactly. There's no pressure right now. So they're going to take their time trying to figure it out, negotiate back and forth. It's going to be a little bit frustrating. I hope they get it done on time. If I miss some more playoff or some more baseball this year, I'm going to get really pissed off. I'm telling you that straight up. I'm going to be really pissed off. So.
Yeah, you're too young to remember the 94, 95, strike. I mean, that was my teenage. I was 13, 14 years old during the major stoppage there. And that was the last real stoppage in baseball. The last agreement was signed in 2006. Look, I think it's an easy thing. I think it gets done by mid-January as well.
I hope so.
I have no doubt in my mind, because the owners know that they can just give up a little bit and make the players happy, and something will get done. What I actually think probably happens, where the last agreement that was signed was a 10-year agreement with a 5-year option, and that's why it's been 15 years since a new agreement has had to be drawn up. I think they signed a shorter agreement. Because of COVID, they make some slight negotiations. Each side gives a little bit, and then they say, let's get back to the table in 5 years.
Yeah.
That's how I see it happening.
That's probably what will happen.
A 15-year deal. I think it's a 5-year deal. They figure it all out, and they're like, all right, let's come back to the table and see how the economics of baseball have changed depending on, what rules they change and stuff like that. And then we get back to it. But yeah, I don't think it lasts long at all. I think we don't miss a second of training camp, spring training, anything like that. In fact, maybe I'll go book plane tickets right now, to go down to a trip. We should go do a show from spring training. That's what we should do.
We're doing that.
Have you ever been down there?
No, it's been like my dream to go down there.
I did it. So February 2020, right before COVID started. That was my last vacation that I took before COVID started. Wow. We went down and saw spring training Phillies. We went to Clearwater. And now I'm madly in love with Clearwater, and it's the greatest city in the world. So
see, I know that's gonna happen to me whenever I see it too.
The ballpark there that the Phillies play in for the complex there. I mean, it's amazing experience. Super small. Everybody's super friendly. Tickets are super cheap. Well, at least they were in 2020. I mean, we sat 3 rows off the Phillies dugout, and it was $20.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
It
was fantastic experience.
That's gonna be something we have to plan for.
Yeah, that is something we have to plan for sure. All right, let's transition a little bit here. Yeah. Talked a good 35 minutes of baseball there. We want to get back into some Eagles talk. We talked a lot about the Eagles and Jalen Reagor yesterday. The curious case of Jalen Reagor and that whole travesty on Twitter that happened with me and all. And it's still going. I'm still getting notifications on that tweet. Still,
I checked it last night too. So
it just hasn't stopped at all.
Great.
But I saw some interesting conversation. I know you have very strong feelings on Jalen Hurts. And I did put out an Overreaction Monday statement on Monday that Jalen Hurts is not a rookie anymore. He has played 16 games. So we have to be fairly critical on him and fairly evaluate where he is after 16 games. And then I start seeing other people like reporters and people that are on the beat regularly putting out there comparisons to Russell Wilson and what Russell Wilson did his rookie year. And I see you rolling your eyes. And I know I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is going to be Russell Wilson.
Right.
But do you have to start looking at some other quarterbacks that struggled early on in their career, but then in year 2 or 3 started to take steps? So, are some people too easily and willing to give up on Jalen Hurts? At this point.
Probably, and I'm probably one of them. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to be the first person to tell you that I was wrong, and and that's fine. But again, just like I've been saying since the whole Carson Wentz thing happened, I don't think I'm wrong, and by now I still haven't been proven wrong. If I am, I'll tell you that.
Humble.
I'll tell you that.
I haven't been proven wrong.
No. With this, I have not been proven wrong with it.
I want to block out that part that you said I'm never wrong, and just block that out. Just play that on loop. Was that the 35-minute mark right there?
Yeah. So then whenever I'm wrong, you're just gonna boom put that on.
I'm never wrong. I love it.
No, but the whole Jalen Hurts thing. I haven't seen any improvements. The time that Jalen Hurts has looked good in his entire career is when we're able to rush for over 200 yards in a game. And of course, you're going to look good. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo looks like a damn all-pro over there when the 49ers can run the ball. But when the ball's put in his hands and he has to run this entire offense and do everything himself, he's just not good. And can he learn from that? And can he become a better player because of it? Possibly. He can. And if there's anyone that can really do it, Jalen Hurts has that mindset. He's always has a great mentality and everything, and he's a good leader. So I love that part of him. But it's just when the ball has to be put in his hands and he is now the guy that is under all the pressure, he has to do everything. He can't do it. And with this Eagles team, he honestly is in a very good spot. He's in a team that can run the ball. He's with a team that can run the ball and can give him chances like this. Give him a chance to come back late in a game. Happened multiple times, and he just hasn't gotten the job done. I've seen mostly everything I need to see from Jalen Hurts now. I hope it can change. I'm still going to support him. Like, I'm still going to be cheering for him every Sunday and everything like that. I'm just not happy with Jalen.
Let me do some comparison here for you. So first off, Jalen Hurts through 16 games last year and this year, he got a 57.7 completion percentage. Just a tick, 4 yards under, 3,500 yards passing, 19 passing TDs, 12 interceptions. Plus, he's got almost 1,000 yards rushing, okay? So that's his unofficial rookie year between 2 years. Russell Wilson's rookie year, he had 64% completion percentage, higher percentage completed, only 3,100 yards passing, okay? So less yards passing, 26 touchdowns, which is way more to 10 interceptions. He also, where's his rushing yards? It's not on there. Anyway, so that's comparison one. Also, Russell Wilson's rookie year, the Seahawks were the #1 rushing team in football. Okay, so they ran the ball effectively for 16 games, not some games here, some games putting on his shoulders. Okay. Secondly, they had the #1 defense in football as well, overall defense. So that took a lot of pressure off of Russell Wilson as well.
Yeah.
So some people say Russell Wilson had a good rookie year, but his rookie year numbers are pretty much on par with Jalen Hurts. That doesn't change your opinion whatsoever. And he also had, where's his rushing? I just brought up rushing, I thought, but maybe not. Never mind. I'll keep trying to find his rushing yards here. Oh, there it is. Almost 500 yards rushing his rookie year. So, Jalen Hurts obviously dominates him in the rushing game his rookie year, has a little bit more on the passing yards. So there's a lot of similarities there.
Right. Yeah. There's kind of similarities, but Jalen Hurts and the team that he's on, he has more of a chance where he should be dominating those numbers. If I really want to feel that good about him.
How though? Because the Eagles are a much worse team around Jalen Hurts right now than Seattle had. Seattle had a 11-5 playoff team around him his rookie year.
No, yeah, and that's the thing, but that's going to lower Russell Wilson's numbers when you have the #1 offense. #1 rushing offense. Obviously, you're going to be running the ball a lot more, and the ball is taken out of Russell Wilson's hands a lot.
Put less pressure on him to make the mistakes that Jalen Hurts has made.
Right? Yeah, but Russell Wilson, he wasn't making those mistakes. You said his numbers were 26 to 10,
2 less interceptions.
Yeah, it's not a huge difference. But the thing is that Jalen Hurts, he's making a lot more decisions when you look at the actual decisions he's making. I'm not even saying because of interceptions.
Can I just interrupt for a second? I'm not saying I'm not saying that Russell Wilson's better. I'm just bringing up the point, and I have another quarterback to compare to next. I'm not, I want everyone to know I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is going to be Russell Wilson or better than
Right. You just bring up the point.
I'm just bringing up the topic,
Right. But the thing is that the way I see it is Jalen Hurts with his decision making, you can see things that can make that you can believe in more for Jalen Hurts. His RPOs, bad decision making with that. He sticks to his first read. When you see other guys open, that's right. You see Goddard right in the front and right above him. He goes for the deeper pass every single time. He won't just dump the ball off. You see these bad decision makings, and he has a lot of opportunities to show it because he has to run out of the pocket a lot and he has to make these decisions. And 95% of the time, he's not making the right decision. He just has not been making the right decision all year. Russell Wilson, you were able to see early in his career. You could see right away, oh, this guy's going to be something special. You could see it right away. He was very smart with the football. Jalen Hurts, as of right now, he's not. I hope he will, but he's not right now. And he's gonna be learning from that, and I'm sure he's gonna be watching tape all the offseason and everything like that. And his rushing game is not going to stay up. Russell Wilson wasn't able to run the ball himself 18 times a game like Jalen Hurts does. His numbers are stat padded. He's just out here running. He's running more than our running backs are a game when it doesn't have to be that way. And they're not even designed runs. It's just him scrambling. And I get it. Guys aren't open. You have to run. And I'm happy that he's doing that. It's just his numbers are going to look more, I don't even know a better way to put it, just more padded just because he has to run.
See, you bring up a good transition to the other quarterback because you say you saw Russell Wilson, what he could do compared to what Jalen Hurts said. Well, I test a guy that almost won MVP last year, Josh Allen. Okay. Yeah. Let's compare Russell Wilson to Josh Allen. Now, last year, Josh Allen almost won the MVP, had an amazing season. That was his year 3. Okay.
Great.
Did great. I said Josh Allen was going to be a bust when he was drafted, and his rookie year was awful. His second year wasn't even that good. So Josh Allen's rookie year, he only played in 12 games. He only threw for 2,000 yards, 10 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, only completed 52% of the passes. His second year, which he played 16, he had just under 3,100 yards, 20 TDs to 9 interceptions. So in a 2-year, 28-game span, he only threw for 5,100 yards, 30 touchdowns to 21 interceptions, and he had a sub 55% completion percentage in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, year 3, he burst on the scene. It all clicked: 4,500 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. And the rest is history.
Yeah.
So you can make an agreement or an opinion that if you give a young guy time, you start building, because when his rookie year, Josh Allen had a terrible team around him, and slowly that team started to transform. And then last year, you've got Stephon Diggs. You've got talent around him. All of a sudden, the quarterback blossoms. So is there a theory that Jalen Hurts can continue to develop if you use your draft capital, which we have a massive amount of? You build a proper team around him, then all of a sudden, maybe Jalen Hurts, I'm not saying he becomes Josh Allen, but becomes better.
Look, yeah, and there's always that aspect where it could be that way. But the thing is that there's still differences. When you look at Josh Allen, you've seen his arm. Even though he was making a little bit bad decisions, and that's all he had to work on, he had a great arm. He could throw a ball 70 yards so easily. Mm-hmm. He's probably just as athletic as Jalen Hurts, but he can run people over. Mm-hmm. Josh Allen's a freak and everything like that. He has the athletic gift in every way. The only thing he struggled with was his decision making, and they fixed that. To me, Jalen Hurts has a lot more wrong with a lot more things to work on. And again, I'm not saying Jalen can't do it. And I know that if you build a good team around him, Jalen Hurts can win you some games. But the guy just doesn't throw the ball that well, and that's just, when you're not able to do that, he's underthrowing every pass. We've seen a deep ball hasn't worked, and they still continue to try to do it. It hasn't been working, and it seems like it's just not going to. And if you don't have a deep ball, it's very hard to win that way, especially in the league now. So it's a little bit just a little bit frustrating. I don't know if I can really compare Hurts to Josh Allen that much, but
that's fair. I mean, the tweet here, I mean, it's okay to be critical of him, but you do have to put some blame around the team around him.
And definitely, yes. But that's why when I judge Jalen Hurts, every single time I talk about Jalen Hurts, I say there is ways where you can look just at Hurts and see how he has developed and see how there's stuff that he can do on his own to make him a better quarterback. And I haven't seen those certain things. When you make better decisions, if you make the better decision and the other guy miss it, I'm still going to give Hurts credit and I'll be happy with it. But he's been making bad decisions and the guys still aren't catching it. So it's frustrating. I want Hurts to succeed. I really do. I'm just one of the bigger criticizers.
So then here's my question for you, because I know my answer already to this question. I've said it already. There is nobody in the draft that I want to draft in the first round to take over as quarterback in 2022 for the Eagles. The Russell Wilsons and the Aaron Rodgers, they're pipe dream, trades or signings and free agency. They're not going to happen.
Right.
So in all honesty, next year is most likely another Jalen Hurts year. Mm-hmm. Unless you're going to go get a Jimmy Garoppolo or a middling, like mid-30s, early Matt Ryan might be available. Right. Jared Goff might be. Are you okay with continuing the development next year, or would you rather draft a quarterback, go sign a Jimmy Garoppolo or Matt Ryan and go that route. Because again, like I said, yes, I want Russell Wilson. I know there's a lot of people that do and a lot of people that don't want Russell Wilson here. Me, I love Russell Wilson, one of my favorite football players, but it's not realistic. So which route do you think you would want to go, going into the offseason?
So I would be with you. I think like if we can get one of those big name guys, Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, I mean, yeah, that'd be great and everything. I would not really want to spend the money on them if we don't have to, just because, I think we have a lot more to work on than just quarterback. I was saying this in the beginning of the year. So you haven't heard me say it, but I don't really think that getting Russell Wilson would make this team like insanely better. Like
because of the cost of getting him, right?
Yes. So, just kind of like that. But I do think Jalen Hurts, for trying to win games, I think Jalen Hurts is the best option. I don't like most of the quarterbacks in the draft. I mean, I'm a little bit biased. I've always liked the guy named Malik Willis for the past couple of years, but realistically, he's not that good of a quarterback. Mm-hmm. So I think Jalen Hurts will be the best option. And there's always that shot. If I'm wrong, Jalen Hurts can prove it in the next year. You know what I mean? And I could be wrong. Jalen Hurts could be the best quarterback that the Eagles ever have. I mean, and I hope I am wrong. I really do. I want Hurts to be that quarterback. So I keeping Hurts, having him as our QB1 next year is what I would prefer over anything else.
I really don't think – I think everybody's saying no to Russell Wilson because they think it's going to cost like 3 first-round draft picks and X, Y, and Z players. I really don't think getting Russell Wilson to any team, whatever team he goes to, and I don't even think it's a done deal that he leaves Seattle. I still think there's a strong chance that him, Carroll, and whoever, and ownership sits down and figures it all out, and he sticks around. But I don't think it's going to cost as much. It's not going to cost 2 of your first-round picks this year and a pick next year or whatever. I think all it's going to really take is if one of your 3 first-round picks this year, maybe one of your first-round picks in the next 2 years, and Jalen Hurts. Pete Carroll has done wonders. He had a similar guy in Russell Wilson early in his career, developed him. I think you could get a deal where you have a first round this year, a first round next year, Jalen Hurts, and that might be all it takes. Now, still, do I think that happens? No, I think other teams maybe, have a better draft pick or, Washington, the Giants, they all need quarterbacks. And, there's a lot of teams that are in worse quarterback situations than the Eagles are. Because, yes, we might disagree on Jalen Hurts, but he's still better, at least ceiling-wise, than what the Giants have or Washington has or, Atlanta. There's still a whole bunch of other teams that have even more of a need to upgrade the quarterback. So I think that's why we don't get Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, not because of what it's going to cost.
Do you think that Russell Wilson makes this team like so much better? Like
if we can use 2 of our draft picks in the first round to draft better players and only have to give up one of those picks to get him. And if we, so this is how it plays out to me that he makes us better. We give up one of our 3 picks this year for Russell Wilson. Okay. Howie Roseman nails the first 2 picks in the first round, just like he nailed Devontae Smith and Landon Dickerson this year. Because let's be realistic. He had a good draft this year. And outside of, Jalen Reagor, his last 2 or 3 year drafts, his last 4 years worth of drafts have been really solid. If he nails the draft smartly, like he did last year with his other 2 picks, gets 2 solid, defensive players, a cornerback, a safety, a linebacker, whatever it may be, an edge rusher, goes out and signs an Allen Robinson or the other wide receivers that are out there to pair with Devontae Smith. Yeah, we have the cap space. We have the draft picks to immediately take a step forward, at least to winning the division.
Right.
In this team.
So I understand that, but say Russell Wilson was the quarterback of the Eagles this entire year.
This year.
Yeah, say we got him in the offseason and just say him and Jay, I know it's unrealistic, but just say Jalen and Russell Wilson switched places and say Russell Wilson was the quarterback of the Eagles all year. How much better does he make this team? Does he make it much better?
Yeah, he wins us 1 or 2 games. We might not lose on Sunday if we have Russell Wilson versus Jalen Hurts. Maybe he finds one of the open receivers. It's a difference about Russell Wilson on this team versus a young Jalen Hurts that's learning. Is a difference between us being 5-7, which we are, to 7-5. If we're 7-5, we're half a game out of the division lead. We're in the 6th or 5th spot in the conference.
Okay, so you don't have us being 10-2 or some crazy.
No.
Okay, all right.
But once you get to the playoffs,
that makes sense.
You see the diversity in the NFL this year, and the how there's no clear front runner. You get into the playoffs. Who knows what's going to happen? 7-5. we're in the playoffs right now with Russell Wilson. We're not the leader with like Aaron Rodgers or the Arizona Cardinals are.
Okay,
but
I understand that then.
But once you get to the playoffs, who knows what happens?
Of course.
So, and we got this super easy schedule right now.
Yeah.
So if we're 7-5 right now, we might finish the season 11-6 or 12-5. If we have Russell Wilson as the quarterback. Russell Wilson's not losing to the Giants and the Jets and Washington with this team.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know, because Seattle's just been Russell Wilson's looked bad. He's looked really bad. He really over in Seattle these past couple games. But no, I'm with you. I'm obviously it'd make the team better. I just think that the team around him is like this entire Philly team is just not. It's just not a very good team at all. So I don't know. It's hard. I would still love to see Russell Wilson on the team. I just don't really want to. Having to pay a quarterback that much is a little bit scary.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that part of it. All right, we're going to continue talking Eagles this week. We'll get ready for the Giants game Thursday and Friday. The Jets game Friday and Thursday. We'll continue talking all these interesting topics and all. But real quick tonight, Sixers, Celtics, another big game. Both 11-10 teams, both disappointing results at this point of the season. Yeah. Unfortunately for the Sixers, the disappointment, in my opinion, has come because of the COVID situation and loss of players and the fact that we played massive amount of games shorthanded. The Celtics, on the other hand, are just not a good team at this point. They're just not playing well, in my opinion. Tatum still leads the way for the Celtics. There's a chance Jalen Brown doesn't play tonight for the Celtics. He's day-to-day right now. They just beat Toronto, their last game 2 days ago, but they had lost back-to-back games before that, one being to an awful San Antonio Spurs team. The Spurs aren't really trending up or down. They're just kind of meandering around in the middle there. Can the Sixers beat the Celtics tonight?
Just because how the Celtics aren't playing that well, and it's really gonna have to do with how I almost want to call them the COVID boys. You got Tobias and Joel over there. Seeing how energized they'll be, seeing if Maxey and Embiid can start figuring things out more and more. That's the most thing I'm going to be looking for, is just seeing how Maxey and Embiid do. So I think a lot. It's still relying on Tyrese Maxey a lot, just because these other guys are still so tired. So pretty much however his game goes, I think that's going to declare if we're going to win or not. If Embiid can have his crazy day again where he's going to drop 40 again, you never know with how Embiid is right now. Yeah. So really, I could see it going either way. It's going to be a weird game. Again, not a game that I would bet on, because it's very, I don't even know how to even think of it.
Boston is a 4.5-point favorite. It is in Boston. But yeah, they're 4.5-point favorites right now, Boston.
And that could be the difference maker, just because of home court advantage. I mean, it really could be something as simple as that. I don't know. But it should be a really good game, a nice rivalry game. I'm definitely excited for it. If I didn't work tonight, I'd be right on.
I don't know if they had practice yesterday in between the games, or during today in shootout. I just hope that Maxey was locked in a room with Joel Embiid and Doc Rivers, and that's it in the room. And they have told him, what has made you successful at this point is you're being uber aggressive. Joel will get his points. Joel will get his rebounds. It's up to Maxey to continue to develop and not force things to Joel.
You can't force things to star players.
To be the leader on the floor. And I hope that point is being driven home to Tyrese Maxey nonstop yesterday and today, where he's played amazingly. He's kept us from falling completely out of the playoff picture, with all these absences. It's up to Tyrese Maxey, which is a lot to put on a 21-year-old kid that, hasn't even played, 82 games yet in the NBA.
No.
It's up to him to realize that his aggressiveness and his style is what leads the team. Joel, Tobias, they'll get theirs.
Exactly.
But you need to be the guy on the court that continues to be aggressive, continues to drive the his driving to the basket opens up so much for Joel, so he needs to stay uber aggressive. And that's what I want to see tonight, because that's not what we saw against Orlando or Minnesota. He kind of took a step back for Joel. So I want to see that aggressiveness from Tyrese. Tobias, not only is he recovering from protocols, he's also got hip issue as well. So I just want to continue to see these guys have I want everybody to continue to be out there, fair amount of minutes. I don't want to see overloaded minutes. I still think we can win this game, but it's going to be on Maxey if we win this game. It's going to be up to Maxey. I don't even care if Maxey shoots 4 or 14. I just want to see aggressive Maxey. That's
Right.
all I want to see.
That changes
Once he's
everything.
aggressive, it sets the tone for everybody else.
Exactly.
His energy is so contagious.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. As long as Maxey has his day, he doesn't have to, just like you said, doesn't even have to have his day. He has his aggressiveness. It's gonna change the outlook on the Celtics entirely. So yeah, I'm totally with you. Maxey does his thing. I think we win this game.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I hope so. I hope we're talking about a Sixers win tomorrow morning. We'll
That'd be
spend more
great.
time on the Sixers tomorrow. We just spent about 5 minutes there wrapping up the show with the Sixers. Today's December 1st. Christmas season's begun. Hey, I even got my first Christmas shirt, my Grinch Bah Humbug ugly shirt on today. I love Christmas season. I love December. Maybe I'll even wear a Santa hat a few times on the air, during December here. So this is Trending in the AM on DSM Media, the only and first morning show podcast in the area. Make sure you check out our sponsors, Manscaped, manscaped.com, the leader in men's grooming. I can't get it right today. Leader in men's grooming products and below the waist maintenance. Check them out, manscaped.com, and use promo code TRENDING at checkout. Get you 20% off and free shipping. I mean, they got great products there. They got the lotions, they got the shampoos, they got the weed whackers and all the different razors. They got great products there. I use them. I've got a closet full of their stuff. It doesn't look like it here, but they got some great stuff. So make sure you check them out. And by using that code TRENDING, it lets them know that you were sent from us. Helps to continue the support and the relationship we have with Manscaped. So again, manscaped.com, TRENDING is the code to use. Hey, another fantastic show this morning, Jeremy.
Of course, always.
We got jam-packed on DSM Media, so make sure you subscribe and following everybody and all the outlets on all different social medias, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. I'll be back tonight at 9:00 with Trending for 4 quarters. More Eagles talk, more all different kinds of conversations I'm ready to go into tonight.
Diamond Talk tonight, 10:30, late night
Diamond
show.
Talk. We got late Diamond Talk.
Night Diamond Talk again.
You're going to roll right into the lockout officially. You should start like 10:45.
Yeah, right.
So not to keep you guys up too late. So when the lockout happens, you could just cancel the show. Lockout's in and hit end broadcast. Done. Diamond Talk's over until the lockout's over.
Yeah.
So tune in to Diamond Talk. Jam-packed at night.
Yep.
On DSM Media. So make sure you're following along. You're not going to want to miss anything. DSM taking over into the moon. But as we always say, go Birds.
Go Birds.
And set the